Imagine a world where one trigger pull could decide the future of humanity. In 1944, it often did. America didn't win World War II by luck. It won with steel, innovation, and pure audacity. From the thundering 50 cal Browning to the weapon that split the atom, these 7 creations didn't just defeat an enemy, they rewrote warfare forever. When the world was burning, the United States turned its factories into forges of destiny. Some weapons were carried by scared 19-year-olds in muddy trenches. Others were assembled in secret laboratories under desert skies. All of them shaped history. Let's uncover the 7 American weapons that changed everything in World War II and the hidden stories behind them. The sound came first. Ping, a sharp metallic note that echoed across Europe and the Pacific. To American soldiers, it meant survival. To their enemies, it meant fear. The M1 Garand, the world's first semi-automatic rifle issued to every infantryman, transformed the battlefield. 8 rounds fired as fast as a man could pull the trigger. No bolt to cycle, no pause between shots. General George S. Patton called it the greatest battle implement ever devised. And on D-Day, at Omaha Beach, that statement proved painfully true. As shells exploded around them and machine gun fire tore through the surf, American soldiers pushed forward with a rifle that fired twice as fast as most weapons they faced. In the frozen forests of Bastogne, where hunger and cold were enemies as real as the Germans, the Garand kept firing faithfully, never surrendering to snow or mud. It wasn't just wood and metal. It was a promise that no American would enter battle underarmed. 1 trigger, 8 rounds. 1 legend born in steel. The desert heat shimmered as Sherman tanks crawled across North Africa. Dust clung to everything, faces, armor, even the shells stacked inside the turret. Then came the roar. The 75mm gun mounted on the early Shermans wasn't the biggest or the strongest, but it was the gun that never stopped moving. It fired high-explosive, smoke, and armor-piercing rounds, perfect for a global war fought across deserts, forests, mountains, and cities. In North Africa, it taught the Allies how to fight tanks. In Italy, it shattered ancient stone fortresses. In France, it punched open the road to Paris. German commanders feared it not because of unmatched power, but because of its omnipresence. The 75mm gun was everywhere the Americans were, and the Americans were everywhere. It didn't need to be perfect. It needed to be reliable, and it was. Innovation on wheels, enough to move mountains. The lessons of North Africa came with a price. The 75mm gun could do many things, just not enough against massive German Tigers and Panthers. So America adapted. The 76mm gun M1 was longer, stronger, and fired shells with far higher velocity. It wasn't a small upgrade. It was a declaration that the days of being outgunned were over. When the first 76mm Shermans rolled into the hedgerows of France, and later into the frozen hell of the Battle of the Bulge, American tank crews suddenly had something they hadn't felt in months: confidence. Now they could fight head-on. Now they could penetrate armor instead of prayers. It was innovation forged from desperation, and it changed the balance of armored warfare. Above the endless blue of the Pacific, a Navy PB-4Y bomber opened its payload doors. Below it, Japanese ships cut through the waves, unaware that history was falling toward them. This was the ASM-N2 BAT, the world's first fully automatic, radar-guided smart bomb. While ordinary bombs simply fell, the BAT listened to echoes, to radar reflections, to the invisible language of the ocean. It corrected its course mid-flight, gliding with controlled intelligence toward its target. For the first time ever, a bomb could think. It wasn't the deadliest weapon of the war, but it was the most visionary. In a conflict dominated by brute force, the BAT whispered of the precision wars to come. It was the ancestor of every smart missile, every guided drone, every weapon that follows a chosen path. Decades ahead of its time, Proof that imagination can fly farther than fear. In the desert labs of Los Alamos, lightning crackled above wire fences guarding a secret that would reshape humanity. Scientists worked in silence, driven by fear that the Nazis might achieve the same goal. Thousands of hours, sleepless nights, equations no human had solved before. The result was Fat Man, a bomb so small it fit inside a B-29, yet so powerful it bent reality. On August 9, 1945, the plane Boxcar carried it toward Nagasaki. At 11:02 a.m., the world changed. A flash brighter than the sun erased the skyline. A city vanished, and the war, the deadliest in human history, ended days later. But the questions never ended. Fat Man wasn't a victory. Fat Man was a warning, a reminder that once humanity split the atom, it could never go back. The weapon that ended the war by beginning the atomic age. Over Europe, B-17 bombers throbbed with engine roar as they flew toward targets deep in enemy territory. From every turret and window came the same rhythm. Thud, 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 thud. The Browning M2 50 caliber machine gun, heavy, powerful, unstoppable. It tore through aircraft, armor, vehicles, and anything else in its path. It defended bombers from swarms of enemy fighters. It guarded Marines storming Pacific beaches. It mounted on tanks, ships, jeeps, anywhere a gun could fit. Designed long before World War II, it proved so perfect that it remains in service today, nearly a century later, the eternal voice of American firepower. Snow drifted across the Ardennes as a young soldier clutched a weapon lighter than a rifle but heavier with meaning. The M1 carbine. It wasn't designed to dominate battlefields. It was designed to save lives for radio operators, medics, support troops, and anyone who needed protection without the weight of a full rifle. Fast, light, reliable. A lifeline in the chaos. When German forces launched their surprise attack in the Battle of the Bulge, countless troops held the carbine as their last defense. In the jungles of the Pacific, paratroopers and scouts swore by it. Not the most powerful, not the loudest, but always there when it mattered most. Sometimes the smallest tools carry the greatest hope. From the rifle that armed a nation to the bomb that defined an era, these 7 weapons shaped the outcome of World War II. The Garand gave every soldier confidence. The 75mm and 76mm guns carried victory on steel tracks. The bat brought the future into the present. Fat Man ended one world and began another. The Browning ruled the skies. The carbine stood by every man who needed a fighting chance. 7 inventions, 7 turning points, 1 victory, forged in steel and paid for in blood. Remembered forever.